Even as the central bank pledges to infuse Japan's economy with cash, Japanese stock markets have been tumbling, the Topix posting its worst two-day drop since 1987. Our next guest has capitalized big time on the Japanese markets last year. His hedge fund returned 210% in 2010. That makes him the world's second best performer. The question is there any chance of that kind of success this year? For more now, we're joined by Curtis Freeze, who's in Tokyo. He's the founder and chairman of Prospect Asset Management. Curtis, thank you for joining us. I understand you sent your wife and kids out of the country. You yourself are staying put in Tokyo right now to continue working. Can you give me a sense of what you've been doing in Tokyo the last couple of days as the markets have been selling off?
Well, I've been buying. Today I was buying near the market lows, and of course the valuations are extreme. I mean, these are values we haven't seen since 1993. We're at close to 17-year lows, and the valuations are actually even better than they were then. A lot of it's very emotional, and then there's also one thing we shouldn't miss, and that's the margin selling. Individuals are being hit with margin calls on their accounts, and they have no choice but to sell. The shares are being sold out from under them if they can't meet those margin calls.
Is liquidity a problem right now?
Well, no. Actually, we had the biggest volume day in recent history. There's a lot of liquidity. The bigger problem, of course, is the lack of a few names trading. So Tokyo Electric Power, for example, there was rumors on the street people were using the index to hedge, to short the index because they couldn't sell the stocks they wanted to sell, like Tokyo Electric Power.
You're saying that you've been buying, especially today. Are you changing your strategy overall on Japan? We know a couple of overseas fund managers, such as Australia's AMP Capital, have been raising their rating on Japan to overweight. Are you doing something similar?
Well, actually, I only invest in Japan. This is all I do. But I am using what little cash I have to get fully invested, nearly fully invested at the end of the day today. I have a little bit more to put to work tomorrow. By the end of tomorrow, I'll be fully invested.
And which sectors are you looking at? Which kinds of companies?
Well, I think there are companies that have very stable cash flow, very predictable. Some of my biggest holdings, a drugstore chain called Growell. I have a construction stock which will actually benefit from the rebuilding called Tomoe Construction. I've got a couple other names. Shibusawa Warehouse. It's a warehouse company with offices in central Tokyo where, of course, vacancies aren't expected to rise on the back of this. Very stable cash flow and very predictable. Another big holding is a Weinan. It's a Japanese sake producer. And all of these companies are unaffected. The one that is most affected, of course, is affected positively because of the rebuilding orders. So the other holdings that I'm adding to are the J-REITs. J-REITs have very high yield, and it's predictable. The REITs have all announced that they're totally unaffected by the quake. None of the REITs have suffered any damage.
So you're looking at stocks that have withstood the effects of this earthquake and the tsunami. I want to ask you about the broader picture, though. You've got the Bank of Japan doing all it can to provide liquidity, to keep rates low, to keep the yen from strengthening. The Prime Minister was struggling before this earthquake began. Is there any sense that the government and the central bank will be doing more to support the markets and to turn this around into an opportunity?
Well, I think they should have put the money to work they announced yesterday. They announced additional money for index-linked funds and also additional money for J-REITs. That money should have gone into the market today. I mean, they're talking about spreading that buying over a period of a year. I don't see the point. This is as good a time as any to put that money to work. The money's already been authorized. The allocation has been doubled from the previous level, and now it's time to put the money in. Once the government announces it's actually investing that money, the rest of the market will come back, knowing that it's safe to get involved.
When do you see the markets turning around in terms of this selling ending?
Well, I think we'll see the turn sometime tomorrow when the dust settles at the nuclear power plants. I think those power plants are cooling. I think what people have lost touch with is the power plants have not been functioning since the earthquake, and it's taken 3 days for the reactors to cool down, and they are cooling. And so the cooler those reactors get, the less of a threat they are. So by tomorrow, we'll have a much better idea of how they've managed to cool those reactors down. And I think the tension in the market will be much less once it's realized that
right.
These have cooled down to safe levels.
Okay. Well, we thank you so much for your time. We've been speaking with Curtis Fries. Curtis, stay safe. He's founder and chairman of Prospect Asset Management, joining us from Tokyo.